Most men walk into relationships operating on a completely flawed instinct. They believe that attraction is built through effort. They think that if a woman feels distant, cold, or unsure, the cure is to try harder. So they double down. They become the guy who always sends the good morning text, the guy who checks in throughout the day, and the guy who drops everything the second she calls. They stay available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, operating from a place of quiet panic. Deep down, they are terrified that if they take even one step back, if they let a few hours go by without proving their interest, she will forget about them, lose interest entirely, or slip away to someone else. But here is the cold, uncomfortable truth that most men never learn until it is too late. Constant presence does not create desire, it suffocates it. When you make yourself endlessly available, predictable, and always within arm's reach, you strip away the single most powerful ingredient in human attraction: absence. Human beings are wired to take constant things for granted. When a song plays on repeat all day long, it stops feeling special and simply becomes background noise. In the exact same way, when your attention is always guaranteed, she never has to wonder where you stand. She never has to wonder if she is losing you, and she never gets the chance to actually miss you. You are giving her the full meal before she ever has the chance to get hungry. What most men fail to realize is that attraction does not actually grow while you are standing right in front of her talking. It grows in the quiet moments when you are gone and she is left alone with her thoughts. When you finally make the conscious decision to pull your energy, focus, and pursuit back, something incredible happens inside her mind. Her brain doesn't just go quiet and move on like you feared it would. Instead, her thoughts go extremely loud. The sudden drop in your presence breaks her expected routine and triggers an immediate psychological shift that forces her to pay attention to you in a way she never did when you were chasing her. This isn't about playing petty head games, trying to seek revenge, or manipulating someone's feelings. It is about understanding basic human psychology and regaining your personal self respect. When you stop acting like an endless source of free attention, the entire dynamic flips on its head. Today, we are breaking down the exact 7 psychological shifts that happen inside a woman's mind the moment a man finally stops chasing and reclaims his power. 1. The noise in her head begins. When your attention is constant, it becomes predictable, and predictable things are rarely valued. Think about it this way. Nobody stays up at night staring at the ceiling, wondering if the sun is going to rise tomorrow morning. They just assume it will, because it happens every single day without fail. That is exactly what happens to your presence when you chase a woman endlessly. She doesn't have to value your morning text, anticipate your phone call, or feel excited when your name pops up on her screen, because deep down, she already knows it's coming. Your effort becomes an expected routine rather than an earned reward. You have unknowingly built a safety net underneath her, allowing her to stay completely comfortable without ever having to invest any energy back into you. The moment you quietly stop pursuing, that safety net vanishes overnight. And here is the part that tricks almost every guy. Externally, she might look completely unfazed. She might act calm, post normally on social media, and pretend like nothing in her world has changed at all. But internally, an intense mental noise begins. The quiet security she took for granted is suddenly gone, and her brain immediately starts searching for answers. The silence hits her like a cold shower, forcing a flood of uncomfortable questions into her mind. Why hasn't he reached out today? Did his energy shift? Did I say something wrong? Or did he finally realize his own worth and move on? Was I actually taking him for granted this whole time? Your constant presence allowed her mind to relax into autopilot, but your sudden silence forces her to wake up and pay attention to you in a way she never could while you were chasing her. 2. Uncertainty drives curiosity. Absolute certainty makes people comfortable, but comfort is the absolute killer of romantic desire. When a woman knows with 100% confidence that you are completely hooked, that you aren't going anywhere, and that your attention is guaranteed no matter how little effort she gives back, her mind naturally stops working to keep you. You become easy to figure out. You become a solved puzzle. And once a puzzle is solved, nobody wants to sit there staring at it anymore. They put it away and look for something else that challenges them. The moment the chase ends, uncertainty steps in. And uncertainty is the ultimate engine of emotional curiosity. Suddenly, her entire perception of you flips upside down. Because she can no longer predict your next move, her brain is forced to spend valuable time and energy trying to solve the mystery. She starts replaying your past conversations in her head, reading old text messages, and analyzing tiny details she overlooked weeks ago. She begins questioning her own judgment, wondering if she completely miscalculated your value or mistook your patience for weakness. That sudden wave of subtle discomfort, the realization that she might actually lose access to you, creates an emotional void. And in order to fill that void, her focus gets pulled straight back to you, turning you into the main thought occupying her mind all day long. 3. Your absence becomes valuable. Human psychological nature operates on a fundamental principle that never changes. We simply do not place a high value on things that are unlimited, easily obtained, and given away for free. Think about how gold works. Gold isn't valuable just because it looks shiny. It's valuable because it is scarce, difficult to acquire, and impossible to find everywhere you look. Water, on the other hand, is essential for life itself. But because it flows freely from every tap, nobody stops to admire a glass of tap water or worry about where the next sip is coming from. When you make yourself endlessly accessible, reply to every message within seconds, and alter your busy schedule the moment she asks, your presence stops feeling like a valuable gift and starts feeling like tap water. You effectively transform yourself into background noise, a comforting, constant hum that she registers mentally but never actually takes time to appreciate or respect. Stepping back completely alters this psychological equation by creating immediate, tangible space. In that newly created space, something critical happens that your constant presence never allowed. She actually gets to feel what it feels like not having you around. She walks past places you used to talk about, sees something funny online she would usually send you, or experiences a quiet evening where your usual message never arrives. And suddenly, the room feels noticeably emptier. That emptiness forces a deep psychological reset. The moment your attention becomes scarce, your value skyrockets in her mind, instantly shifting you from an expected, taken for granted routine back into someone rare, elusive, and highly desirable. 4. She has to confront her actual feelings. As long as you are doing all the heavy lifting in a connection, initiating every conversation, planning every interaction, and constantly keeping the emotional flame alive, she gets to remain completely passive. She never actually has to do the hard internal work of figuring out how she feels about you as a man, because her brain is entirely occupied with simply reacting to your continuous flood of attention. You are carrying the entire emotional weight of the relationship on your shoulders, which allows her to comfortably sit back, collect you effort, and enjoy the cozy feeling of being pursued without ever having to decide if she genuinely cares about losing you. The moment you stop pursuing, that tap of free validation shuts off completely, and the comfortable dynamic breaks. With no new messages to react to and no constant efforts to passively receive, she is suddenly forced out of her passive state and cornered into confronting a crucial, defining question. Do I actually miss this specific man and his presence in my life? Or was I simply addicted to the free ego boost and validation he kept feeding me every day? That question creates an intense moment of psychological truth. If she only liked the validation, your silence simply makes her move on. But if there was genuine attraction buried underneath the surface, the sudden cutoff of your effort forces those real feelings to surface fast, making her realize just how deep her emotional attachment truly was all along. 5. The silence hits harder than she admits. Never let a calm, unbothered exterior fool you into believing your absence had zero impact. When a dynamic suddenly flips and a man stops pursuing, basic human pride and the fear of looking vulnerable kick into overdrive. Most people, especially when caught off guard by a shift in power, will do everything in their power to hide the fact that they are affected. Admitting that your sudden silence bothers her means admitting that she cared far more than she originally showed. And for many women, that is a terrifying realization to confront openly. So instead of picking up the phone and typing out a vulnerable text that might expose her feelings, she puts on a front, acts completely cool on the outside, and pretends like her world is moving forward without skipping a beat. However, modern technology makes it almost impossible to completely cover your tracks, and this is where her silent behavior betrays her outwardly calm persona. She might not send you a single message, but behind closed doors, her digital habits tell a completely different story. She is quietly watching your social media stories the moment you post them, refreshing your profile to see if you are active, and keeping tabs on your life from a distance. She is sitting with her phone in hand, replaying old interactions, and wondering why her name hasn't popped up on your screen. Here is a fundamental rule of human psychology you must remember. People who genuinely do not care about you do not spend their precious time, energy, and mental space tracking your absence. She feels the heavy weight of that silence ringing loudly in her ears every single day. She simply refuses to give you the satisfaction of admitting it to your face yet. 6. Real interest is finally revealed. Endless chasing does one very dangerous thing to a man. It completely blinds him to reality. When you are the one constantly initiating every conversation, making every plan, driving every interaction, and carrying the entire emotional load of the dynamic, you create an artificial momentum. You mistake her passive participation for genuine interest, never realizing that she might just be coasting along because it's easy and convenient. As long as you keep running, you will never actually know if she was running alongside you or if you were simply dragging her along behind you the entire time. Stepping back, pulling your effort away, and dropping the chase acts as the ultimate truth serum, giving you absolute, undeniable clarity. When the artificial momentum stops, the truth instantly floats to the surface. A woman who genuinely values your presence and has real emotional investment in you will eventually feel the sting of your absence. And because losing you completely feels wrong to her, she will find a way to test the waters. It might not be a massive, dramatic declaration of love. It can be a subtle double tap on a photo, a quick reply to a story, or a random text bringing up an inside joke just to see if the line is still open. But if you step back and absolute crickets follow, if she lets the connection die completely without throwing a single straw, you get the exact answer you needed. Either way, you win. You either trigger her real effort to keep you, or you finally stop wasting your time, energy, and self respect on a complete dead end. 7. Active engagement replaces passive acceptance. Predictability is one of the quietest killers of human attraction. When a woman knows that your time, your energy, and your emotional availability are absolute guarantees, her mind naturally switches off its active interest and slips into autopilot. She doesn't need to lean into the connection, invest energy, or spend her day thinking about you because she already knows you're securely sitting in her back pocket. You have become an effortless fixture in her life, like a favorite jacket hanging in her closet that she knows she can reach for whenever she feels like it, but rarely ever thinks twice about when she isn't wearing it. Your constant availability strips away the element of active desire, reducing what could have been a magnetic connection down to a dull, passive habit where she simply consumes your effort without offering any of her own in return. The moment you pull your energy back and stop chasing, you break that cycle and forcefully snap her out of her passive state. Suddenly, the space you used to occupy carries an immense amount of weight, and the comfortable safety net she took for granted disappears overnight. This sudden shift reactivates her emotional awareness in a powerful way. Because she can no longer count on your effort to automatically maintain the connection, her brain is forced to step up and take an active role. She begins thinking about you far more intensely than she ever did while you were pursuing her. Not because you forced her to or begged for her attention, but because her own internal curiosity, desire, and fear of loss finally woke up and took control. The real shift, reclaiming your power. At the end of the day, you must understand that stepping back is not about playing petty head games, trying to manipulate a woman's emotions, or pretending to be a cold, heartless version of yourself. It is about something far deeper and infinitely more important: reclaiming your fundamental self respect as a man. When you spend weeks or months running after someone who is consistently showing you that they aren't willing to move toward you with the exact same effort, you are slowly abandoning your own value. Every time you send an easy double text after being ignored, every time you drop your plans to accommodate someone who treats you like an option, you send a clear signal to your own subconscious mind and to hers that your time, energy, and worth don't truly matter. Over time, that constant pursuit turns you into an anxious, reactive man who is desperately hunting for external validation just to feel secure. The true transformation happens the exact second you stop burning your energy on someone who doesn't appreciate it and redirect that power back into your own life, your personal goals, your physical health, and your inner peace. Almost immediately, your entire posture changes. You stop walking into room after room looking for approval, and instead, you become grounded, stable, and self assured. That internal shift creates an unmistakable magnetic presence that people, including women, can feel instantly. Because the brutal truth of modern dating is simple: the right person will never require you to abandon yourself, destroy your confidence, or chase endlessly just to keep their attention alive.